check with me. Very good.
Thank you. So without wasting much time, let us get set go. So I'll be talking on foot and ankle issues in running related injuries. So the objective of this talk is to describe the problem, understand the pathophysiology, evaluate, manage, and some prevention strategies. So foot and ankle injuries, bags the podium in running related injuries, especially as we know that foot is the first structure in the running gait cycle to accept the vertical force at initial contact, as well as it's the final structure which propels the body forward. So it's very important that we understand and analyze this properly. Very often running related injuries are overuse injuries, but sometimes with the roads and the paver blocks that we run on, we can have traumatic fractures also. So in pathophysiology, humans with our bipedal locomotion are adapted to run, and overuse injuries are environmental mismatch between the applied load to the body and the body's ability to accept the load. And this disequilibrium in tissue homeostasis leads to running related injuries. Evaluation, I think we've had 2 sessions on it, but I think a very important question that I always ask my runners is, why do they run? Is it health conscious related things, or whether it is recreational for some scholarship, mental health in 40s, is it just insomniac who doesn't get sleep? This allows us to individualize our treatment plan so that we can cater to them specifically and get them to the point where they want to go. History, as we have heard right now, that it's very important. It guides us like source of overload. Then again, extrinsic factors, intrinsic factors, running gait analysis, again, in controlled scenarios like clinics versus outdoors is very important. And we know the diagnostic tests that we can do. In management, I think most important is load modulation, where the integrity of tissue accepting the load and the volume load reduction is important. This helps us kind of get most of them back to the point where they were pre-injury. And from there onwards, it's injury prevention or like avoiding all these injuries. A good paper on physio of foot is foot core training. It basically strengthens intrinsic, extrinsic muscles and the neuromuscular functioning of the foot and ankle. This optimizes the force dampening function of the foot and ankle on initial contact and push-off phase. And we've seen in literature that it almost 2.42 times it reduces the risk. And this is the paper from 2015 in British Journal of Sports Medicine. Again, when you come back, retraining and rear foot strike and forefoot strike forces have to be balanced, and increasing the cadence reduces the force on foot and ankle and improves the kinematics. Again, shoe, where we'll have a talk subsequently, there are no advantages of shoed versus unshod, and we do not advise any change. And if it is done, it has to be a gradual progression. Ideally, one should change shoes in around 500 to 800 kilometers of mileage at around 6 to 9 months is whatever is suitable to them. Coming to certain injuries, I think lateral ankle sprains, very common. We've seen some examples before in imaging. ATFL is the most commonest thing. History is important. Examination will show ecchymosis, swelling. X-rays, very important to rule out fractures. There is a list which one can easily miss out and one should not miss them. Alignment views, as sir showed in the knees, that for recurrent ankle sprain is important. And MRI, as Aditya said, to estimate bone bruise for us to answer how soon can they get back. Most of the rehab is now gone towards functional rehab, and it's moved away from immobilization to protected mobilization. All those rise, ice compression, elevation, and followed by early range of motion, protected inversion, and balance and proprioceptive training. In few cases, we might go for acute or operative repair. The most commonly done is modified Brostrom Gould repair. This is a runner whose ankle is lax. You can pull out the ankle and you can see that the lateral ligament is deficient. This is an arthroscopic repair. You see the deficient ligament on this part, and you can see that's the part. You can repair it through an arthroscopic repair and you can reattach the ligament back, and with a keyhole surgery you can get them back. Things not to miss in an ankle sprain, where most of them say that it's just a sprain, but always get an x-ray to check that we've not missed out on any fractures of fibula, as the outer leg bone, or lateral process of talus, it's called the snowboarder's fracture, or anterior process of calcaneum, and Lisfranc injury. Like we just saw the live examination, patient had a Lisfranc injury. Similarly, even tendon injuries from peroneus brevis, split and subluxations can be missed in an ankle sprain. Next common things are heel pain, that is the Achilles tendon disorders. Because it is more of degeneration, it's more of tendinopathy or tendinosis and not tendinitis as it used to be called. It could be mid-substance or insertional, and mid-substance is very common in runners because of the loading pattern on the heel. Treated with NSAIDs acutely, followed by physical therapy to eccentric strengthening to reduce tendon pain, and very rarely it needs a surgical decompression. It could be done arthroscopically again. Insertional in our population is more common than non-insertional. You see a focal bump with a small spur behind the heel, and that's associated with swelling and retrocalcaneal bursitis. Treatment is again a lot of physical therapy. We need to start stretching, eccentric loading programs, wear a soft heel open counter shoe, and again rarely it might need a surgery, which could be done open or arthroscopic, as we see in this patient. You could actually see the bursa coming out, and you debride, make sure that you get the entire bump and the spur out arthroscopically, and if required, you may have to repair the tendon from its insertion or its attachment. So this is how it looks once you've done the bumpectomy, and now then you repair the ligaments with things. So sometimes you may see ruptures, especially when an athlete or runner misses a step and just gets a sudden jerk on the foot. He will hear a pop. It's very common in 40s, like the baby boomers age as it's called, very common in males. Diagnosis is clinical. When you do the Thompson's test, it's positive. That means the foot doesn't flex plantarwards. You can do sonography or MRI depending on your availability of imaging. Conservatively can be treated as long as it's fresh and the approximation is possible. Operative treatment has lower re-rupture rates and a quicker return to activity. It can be done open, percutaneous, or mini open or arthroscopic. This is a mini open technique in which a jig is put in where the repair is done. Both ends are approximated and tied, and subsequently we have to aggressively mobilize them to prevent adhesions and get them back their entire range of motion of ankle so that he can run back put in his mileage as much as he wants. Sometimes they come neglected with chronic ruptures with a big gap, and they may need a tendon transfer. An FHL is transferred onto the heel, which allows them to get their push off phase, and this is how a tendon is transferred. Next common is plantar fascia pain or infracalcaneal heel pain. We all know the central fascia originates from calcaneal tuberosity to proximal phalanx. We all see these spurs in runners, but mind you that they are not pathologic. Actually, they originate at flexor hallucis brevis, and plantar fascia is more medial to this spur. The fasciitis pain happens due to irritation of proximal plantar fascia, and it's associated with calf tightness. So whenever the patient gets up or initiation of movement, the sudden stretch brings about pain. Most of them improve with time, but you can try orthotics. But the workhorse of plantar heel pain is stretching, stretching, and stretching. If they don't respond, or if they have an important event coming up, you can try ultrasound guided injection or sometimes shockwave corporal therapy. Common foot pain could be plantar nerve impingement. Very common is plantar nerve to abductor digiti minimi. That's called the Baxter's nerve, and you will feel the Tinel sign positive, and you might need to release them because it's quite debilitating for runners with lack of sensation and tingling pain along their lateral foot. Another is stress fractures, which is again an overuse injury where the pain worsens after activity and is better with rest, which is contrast to the plantar fasciitis pain, which is first step the pain is more and gets better as the patient starts walking. This needs a lot of activity modification and rest. Next is like a flat foot patient. Having a low arch is not pathology. In fact, there is a wide variation. And as we've seen in the initial talks that, some people might be just normally having a flat foot. When they are associated with pain and affects their mileage is when we need to intervene. We all know that there is a lateral, medial and a transverse arch, and there are static and dynamic stabilizers or supports which maintain these arch. And the deformity which progresses is three-dimensional, where the hind foot progresses to valgus and the forefoot supinates, and that causes this plano-valgoid foot. Commonly associated condition in middle-aged runners is the tibialis posterior dysfunction, and all of this, along with gravity and weight-bearing forces, encourage the destabilization of the arch and makes this condition progressive. Weight-bearing X-rays help us diagnose this properly. There are stages for this condition 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 normally needs physiotherapy and like arch supports. 3 and 4 are arthritic and may need some surgical intervention to help them get their normal pain-free mobilization. So these are flat foot reconstructive procedures in indicated patients. They are very helpful. Last is metatarsalgia, that's forefoot pain with a tight toe box. You will see a lot of them coming with forefoot pain. It could be from a digital neuroma or inflammation of the metatarsophalangeal joint. Common neuroma because of regular friction between the third and the fourth toe. There could be some perineural fibrosis which could cause entrapment of these nerves and cause pain. So there are compression neuropathy of plantar digital nerves, which has along with them some fibrosis or scarring. Very commonly, it is best treated with an ultrasound guided injection. It is diagnostic as well as therapeutic, and sometimes you may have to decompress the nerve or excise the nerve. As we were just saying, there could be some traumatic injuries, as we saw in our patient, that there could be some fractures of the heel bone or Lisfranc's injuries or some other ankle fractures, which would need an open reduction internal fixation. To conclude, I think running gait analysis is helpful to understand the biokinetics of our runners so that we can target our rehab appropriately. Extrinsic risk factors reduction is extremely important, and that can help them kind of get their mobility back. Foot core exercise program is described and has shown to really reduce the rate of foot and ankle injuries, and surgery in very less or appropriate cases could be helpful, get them back, as we saw in our patient in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Abhay.